Hey guys, welcome back. This is the Captain's Log, and I have Dr. Daller. It's been a minute. Last week we were off.
Right. Last week we were off. We were busy after Easter, and now we're back.
Well, we have a very important subject today with this big measles outbreak going on. I need to know all the details, Doc. Don't leave anything out. I need to know.
Captain Brian, this video is going to go viral. Pun intended, of course.
Yes, of course.
Of course. So, yeah, we have a very hot topic, measles, the measles outbreak. Measles is a disease that had been eradicated in the U.S. in 1963, and now it's making a resurgence. It's making a comeback. And today we'll talk about why is it making a comeback? How do you get measles? We'll talk about the virus itself, and we'll talk about vaccination for the measles.
Before we start, Doc, tell everyone how they can find you on Instagram and on Facebook.
Of course. So anybody can. My Facebook is open. My Instagram is open. It's Daller MD at Daller MD for Instagram. In Facebook, just put Mayor Daller, my last name, and you'll see me, and you can become my friend. Send me questions.
And of course, you can come visit him at the Revitalized Lounge in Fort Myers.
Of course. It will be my pleasure. Or you have an email, send me an email. You want something personal, send me an email at Daller@teamdaller.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer. You can also send Captain Brian a text message if it's nothing personal.
Why? They can't personally message?
Sometimes personal issues, not personal messaging.
Okay.
Personal issues. Okay. So, Captain Brian, I mean, this show that you and I have been doing for a while already, we use humor. But at the end of the day, it's a serious show.
That's right.
We deliver content here and information to your audience, the podcast. I mean, we have we talk about different topics, from serious topics to less serious topics, and I truly enjoy that. So congratulations.
Well, I appreciate you always being my co-host on Tuesdays for asking the doctor.
Thank you. So let's talk about measles. So a lot of people ask, what is measles? Is it bacteria? Is it virus? So measles is a virus. So by definition, being a virus need a host, something to reproduce. So viruses cannot reproduce on their own, so they need a host to reproduce. So that's where us human beings come into play. So the virus enter our body.
We are the host.
Yes. How does it enter our body? It normally enter via the nose, your mouth, or your eyes. Okay, these are the routes that the virus enters your body.
But with the measles, it's airborne.
It's airborne. So you can breathe it
right in.
You can breathe it right in. You breathe it right in. It goes to your lungs. It sits in your lungs, and it attacks the immune system, your immune system. The immune system is the same system that is designed to fight viruses.
Right.
So it attacks that immune system. And as a result of that, it grows in that immune system. And eventually, after a few days of incubation, you are starting to cough. When you cough millions of viruses.
And that immediately spreads more.
And that's how you get an epidemic. So every person that gets the measles, okay, that wasn't vaccinated, they get the measles, he can spread it to between 12 to 18 other people that are not vaccinated, and each one of them will spread it to another 12 or 18.
Correct. So just like our podcast today, they're going to shoot it out to 20 people, and everybody's then going to shoot it to 20 people, and we're going to be viral.
And that's how it works. I mean, that's sharing. And we encourage people to share because we want them to learn that information.
Correct.
In our case, is a positive sharing. But when it comes to viruses, specifically the measles, which is very, very contagious, it's devastating. So measles is not something benign. Measles is like you become very sick, you develop a fever, of 105, you become very lethargic, you have that rash all over your body. And some people,
the chickenpox
rash. Very similar in nature.
I had the chickenpox rash when I graduated college. The day I graduated, I got it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, I look like a zombie. Like a mummy.
Yeah,
I was covered.
Oh yeah, it's awful.
In my mouth, everywhere.
I know we're not talking about chickenpox today, but chickenpox is in adulthood is a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. So I don't want the measles.
No, you don't want the measles. Nobody wants the measles. And we need to protect. The key here is to protect the people that are not vaccinated. Why is that? There are certain people that cannot be vaccinated. For example, kids that are immunodeficient. For example, if kids are going through chemotherapy or they have a medical reason not to be vaccinated, we need to protect them. So that's called herd immunity. You don't need to vaccinate 100% of the population. Even if you vaccinate 95% of the population, you're going to protect the weak and those that are immunodeficient. So that's extremely important.
That is.
So again, one guy that get the measles, 12 people.
Right?
So the people in California, so no, you need to be in
But
close.
you're saying it's even closer. It's even more than 90%.
I'll tell you how it works. So not only that it's very, very contagious, also it's not very finicky. Finicky, there are certain viruses that die very quickly. So for example, if you have an HIV and you rub some blood or semen or whatever you rub on this dashboard here, and I come 10 minutes later and I touch it, I will not get the HIV from that.
Because the virus dies.
The virus is dead already. It's not finicky. And same with certain like Ebola or something like this. But with measles, if you go to an elevator, Captain Brian, and you cough and you have measles and you cough in that elevator, 2 hours later I got into that elevator and I took a breath in it, which I probably will take a breath in the elevator, and I'm not vaccinated, I am going to get the measles. Okay.
Wow.
So that's how serious it is.
So how do we stop it?
So first of all, we have to understand why is it making a resurgence? Why all of a sudden a disease that was eradicated?
Correct.
Just think about it. In 1963, there were 3 to 4 million people that were infected with measles every year in the United States. In 2004, only 37 people in the entire United States had measles. Remarkable. I mean, the disease was eradicated thanks to vaccination. That disease is making a comeback now in major states, almost in all states, in majority of the state, but in some states like California and New York and Colorado, it's making a huge comeback. And
so wait, you're scaring me.
Yeah.
So if I'm vaccinated, do I have a chance? Do I still have a chance of getting it?
Very good question. So what are the chances if you're vaccinated to get it? So the immune system, your vaccine is almost as perfect, but it's not perfect. It's only 95 to 97% perfect.
Wow.
So you still have. But if everybody around you is also vaccinated, chances you're going to get it from anybody. That's called herd immunity. So that herd immunity, you are not going to get it because it's not going to propagate. So that guy that had the measles is not going to pass it to the next guy, and those guys are not going to pass it to the next 12 guys. So that's also extremely, extremely important. So we talked about that. So
and the vaccination lasts your entire life?
Entire life. So essentially, if you get 2 vaccines, one when you were 1 year old, 18 months, and after that at 3.5 years old, you are good for life. Now, in some profession, in healthcare business, we recommend to get a booster. But again, the CDC does not recommend a booster. That immune system you should develop. Great question, Captain Brian. How do we develop a vaccine? How do you develop a vaccine? Do you know that, Captain Brian?
I think we do. Don't we start with the original virus?
You start with the original virus. That's right. So how do you develop a vaccine? You start with the original virus, you dilute it, and then you put it in something that it can multiply in. For example, in the measles case, we take chicken embryos, and we put it in chicken embryo. We weaken it. We make it very dilute and slow.
That's why if you're allergic to egg, you have to do it a different way. Yeah.
If you're allergic to, but not in the measles case.
Oh, okay.
Not in the influenza case. So you have influenza that is not in egg, but you're right. But in the measles case, even with egg, is not a contraindication.
Okay.
So you take egg embryo, and then you take it out of the egg embryo, and that's how you dilute it. And then you are using live vaccine, and then your body develop antibodies. So to that measles, okay, that we gave you very, very small amount of measles, and next time that you encounter measles, your body remembers that and attacks that measles with no problem. Okay, so your body developed that immune system, those antibodies, and that we talked about. So again, 50 years ago, this disease was eradicated. Now this disease is making a resurgence.
So my question would be what is the theory behind people saying that the vaccination is actually going to cause something else negative in their lives, like autism, that they say? How does that spin into autism?
Very good question. So autism. So let's talk about autism a little bit. What is autism? Autism had been in the last several years in the U.S. and all over the world had been on the rise. If you look at why, we are not sure. And whenever Dr. Daller tells you you're not sure, you're going to start thinking about the reason.
Correct.
Because maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about. And now when I tell you we are not sure, I'm talking about the medical field is not sure. It's true that we increased the spectrum of autism. Autism before used to be only the severe cases, and now we made it a spectrum from Asperger's syndrome to so it's a huge spectrum of autism. True. Are there
so the bigger net? So there is naturally going to be more
there's more
cases.
more people there. Now, are there any environmental association? Maybe. Some genetic disposition to autism? Yes. But I cannot explain to you why we have more autism in the US today versus 25 years ago. I truly cannot explain to you. Now, when I cannot explain to you, you know what you're going to do? You're going to go Google. You know,
of course.
Because Captain Brian
everybody's
loves Google.
a Google doctor.
Everybody, they love Google, so they're going to Google. And when you Google association between autism and vaccination, you're going to find some stuff. Now, I don't Google stuff. I do medical research. When I go on the internet, I look at medical articles. I look at articles and I look at who wrote it and how many people and what were the population and everything else. And I say, okay, does it make sense or not? So I did in the last 2 weeks, as a matter of fact, I did a lot of research about, is there any association between measles and autism? And again, there is not a single credible scientific evidence that there is any association between measles and autism. I want to make it period. That's it. There's no association whatsoever.
If there is, in today's amount of education and books and the way you can get the knowledge and the data and everything, you would have it.
You would.
Why would they hide it?
I agree. Now, how do people come up with that? So it's all anecdote. Anecdote is something that happened to Captain Brian once. He saw one thing and he concluded that it happens all the time. For example,
which, by the way, I do that a lot with my allergies.
Of course. We all do that.
I think I can cure all these allergies with certain little remedies.
Captain Brian, we're all biased. I'm biased. We're biased. We're all biased. One thing happened to us, and we immediately conclude that this is connected somehow. So what happens? When do we diagnose kids with autism? We diagnose them between the age of 1 and the age of 3. What else happened during that time? They get vaccinated. So what else? And we like to blame things. We like to have a reason, okay? For example, we always look at what is the problem. We never look when things go smoothly. Captain Brian doesn't care. For example, in the morning when you got into your car, you turn on the ignition, the car started. You never said, wow, my car starts, good for me.
Yeah.
But if the car did not start, oh my God, there will be infinity. Right. You're going to call to infinity is the name of the car. You're going to call them and say, what the heck is going on? What did I do wrong? What did you guys do wrong? You're going to find a cause of why your car did not start. But in life, we never care about things that happen good. We care about why did it go wrong. So we need an explanation to what did go wrong. So here, what did go wrong? Why did that kid develop autism? Again, they're going to come to Dr. Daller. Dr. Daller does not know the answer. So they're going to go to Google and they're going to, and they're going to put 1 and 1 together and say, maybe it's the vaccination. Even though there is no correlation between the two, because of the timing, they're going to say, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then they're going to come to the pediatrician and then they're going to say,
wouldn't we be able to solve that simple question by giving people the vaccination at an older age? That people, all these people that hold out, that say,
I know, but
as kids, I can't do it. We don't want our kids vaccinated. And then at some point, most of these kids can't play sports. They can't do anything without the vaccination. They have to get it. Has anybody ever at that point got autism?
No.
So why doesn't people believe that?
Why? Because remember, autism was on the rise. 1 in 67 kids is going to develop autism. It's amazing, Captain Brian. It's more than any other thing you know about. This is not something that happened 1 in a million, 1 in 10,000. 1 in 67. It's remarkable. Oh yes, it's quite remarkable. The spectrum. It's vast. So we know a lot of people that have autism, but on the other hand, I don't know anybody that had measles.
Right.
So I'm associating, something that I know very well, autism, to something that I don't know that happens, on the Fox News or CNN. They're talking about somebody in New York. I don't know anybody in New York that had measles too. So I'm saying, well, I'm worried about autism, but measles I'm less worried about. So that's how people say to themselves, I'm not going to be vaccinated. Now, the idea is wrong because people do die from measles. Remember, in 1963, 3 to 4 million people developed measles. Now, there is a chance that that measles will go to your brain, and then you are going to either die from that. 20 to 40% people that measles goes in the brain, they can die from the measles.
Wow.
I mean, it's deadly. So this is a serious thing, what we're doing. And again, it's all has to do with our biases, Captain Brian. Our biases is like, you know, what went wrong in our life, why, or we have a friend and she told us that, you know, her son had the vaccine, and then, you know, he was diagnosed with autism or anything else to that, immunodeficiency or whatever it is, a few months later. So we put one and one together, and we conclude that that's the case. That's not the case. There's not a single shred of evidence, scientific evidence, to prove that.
Amazing.
Amazing.
So this is just it's an underground culture that's grown.
Oh, significantly. And you know, I cannot blame those people, because the more I will try to convince the people that don't give vaccination, you know what's going to happen? They are going to more believe in a conspiracy idea. So the more I'm going to talk about it, the more they are going to believe that this is. They will not change their mind by listening to, you know, this podcast and Dr. Daller and Captain Brian of what's been going on. They deeply believe in that. And
so let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If they're likely to die if you get measles and it goes to the brain.
Yes.
What are the symptoms prior to that?
Sure.
I mean, it's not the first thing that happens.
No.
Apparently, don't you have a lot of pain and
you have muscle ache, you have fatigue, you have fever of 105. But again, in some patients, which patient we don't know, this can go to the brain. If that goes to the brain, there's 20 to 40% chance of dying from measles.
Wow.
Significant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people die from measles all the time, all over the world. I mean, the virus itself that he got, you know, the virus started in California, in Disneyland. The virus itself, it came from the Philippines. So it didn't come from the US, it came from the Philippines. One person had measles, went to Disneyland. In Disneyland,
just like in the movies.
Like in the movies. One person was not vaccinated, got it, then it propagated. That's how it started. How do we know that? How do we know the guy in Disneyland? Because that disease was eradicated, so it was very easy to find what's the source. And the virus itself was not an American virus, was from the Philippines.
It was an Asian style?
An Asian virus, right? And every virus has the DNAs, the RNA. In the case of viruses, have RNA, not DNA. But the RNA was a little bit different.
Wow. So, in today's world, with this virus going on, how is it not continue to just spread everywhere? How is that not happening right now as we speak, or is it?
So it depends on the states. In some states, you need, remember I mentioned herd immunity. Herd immunity is that you need to have 95, 96, 93% of the population vaccinated for it not to spread. In certain states today, for example, the state that's coming into mind is Colorado, only 81% of the population is vaccinated.
Wow.
So this can spread easily in a state like Colorado. Now, in certain communities, for example, in the Amish community,